Jennifer Morgan, a proud member of the class of 1993. Jennifer Morgan has been named one of Fortune magazine's 50 most powerful women in business. That's right. And by Forbes as one of the most powerful women in the world and technology. Jen is a member of the executive board of SAP and leads its cloud business around the world. The breadth of SAP's portfolio can make it hard to explain what the company does, but Jen told me that when you boil it down, the company helps the world's smallest and largest businesses solve their hardest problems with technology. To give you a sense of the scale of SAP's business, the company has 100,000 employees and 500,000 customers. 77% of the world's transaction revenue touches an SAP system. Jen's cloud products alone have nearly 200 million users around the world. In addition to her work at SAP, Jen also serves on the board of directors at the Bank of New York Mellon. Recently, Jen launched A Call to Lead, a podcast building on her successful leadership summit, featuring short but meaningful conversations with leaders who share their own paths to leadership and career journeys. Jen has interviewed everyone from Barack and Michelle Obama to George W. Bush to Condi Rice and Gary Vaynerchuk to countless other entrepreneurs, CEOs, and thinkers who are redefining what it takes to lead in the 21st century. This sounds very JMU, doesn't it? I'd encourage you to check out the podcast. Her team told me that just next week, she'll interview Carly Kloss and Tina Fey for A Call to Lead. Jen's humble, authentic leadership and her work on equal pay, initiatives like SAP's Autism at Work program, and a commitment to a more inclusive workplace reflects our Madison spirit at its best, a place that educates both the head and the heart. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer Morgan to the podium.
Thank you all so much, President Alger. I appreciate your very kind words and the great honor of speaking in front of this audience today. What a happy day. I'm so honored to be here to share it with you. Fellow Dukes in the class of 2019, well done and congratulations. A message on one JMU mortarboard said, "Mom and Dad, thanks for giving me the world. And if you graduates are proud today, just think of how your parents are feeling." They saw you through to this great moment, so I joined President Alger in offering my heartfelt congratulations and appreciation for all the mothers, fathers, and families of the graduating class. 4 years, maybe a little longer for some, quite a journey. It's a long trek from Frog Week to taking graduation pictures with the Jimmy statue, but here you are. And no one can say that JMU wasn't heard from during your time here, and I mean right here, on this home turf of the past and future NCAA national champion Dukes. Talk about lasting college memories. I mean, will you ever again hear the name President James Madison without thinking of Lee Corso and ESPN? I'm thrilled for you all, and I have to admit, pretty thrilled for myself to be here 26 years after my own JMU graduation. Coming here as an undergraduate was one of the best decisions I ever made, and I confidently predict years from now you'll feel exactly the same. Every university has its own culture, and what I love about ours is the underdog mindset. There's no sense of entitlement here. We keep things down to earth and don't put on airs. What's the JMU spirit? I think of it as grit, hustle, humility. Maybe sometimes we're underestimated, but that doesn't bother us in the least. It just makes us work harder to get the job done. Second only to the influence of my parents, I credit this university for setting me off in the direction of good things. I'll spare you the whole story of my years since leaving this campus, except to say that it's led to a job I love, a husband, a family I love even more, And now this chance to come back and share a few thoughts I hope might be helpful in your own careers. And a quick note, I remember only 3 things from my commencement ceremony. I was overserved the night before. It was brutally hot. And the commencement speaker, whom I don't remember, went on way too long. So here's my solemn promise. I'm here with a short speech. The name of SAP, the company where I'm privileged to work, stands for Systems, Applications, and Products, combining 3 words that all seem to cry out for explanation. And even if I stop to elaborate on each one, your parents and grandparents would still wonder after the ceremony, what exactly did that ladies' company do? Enough to say I've spent these years in the high-tech world. And if I'd known what my working life would bring, I might not have come to JMU and studied finance and French. I might have done something totally rash and regrettable, like my husband and sister did by enrolling at UVA. I didn't tell my husband about that line. Here's one thing I figured out pretty soon after graduation. A lot of things happen in ways we could never begin to anticipate in our college years. A lot of plans get overtaken by events. I'm all for having career plans and goals, and if you've got yours, that sure can't hurt. But it also pays to stay flexible, to know that even set plans are rarely the final word on what's ahead, because some of your best opportunities will find you by surprise. Of course, some of you graduates might be still forming your plans. I know I was, and I wouldn't worry too much about that either, because time and many other factors are still on your side. You've got all that a great university can give. You know how to strive, work, and think for yourself. With or without a plan, you've got readiness, even if you're not quite sure what it is you're ready for. What no one else has when they're graduating college is years of work experience. The good news on that score is nobody expects it of you yet. And besides, as someone who's done a fair amount of hiring, I can report that work experience doesn't always have the same weight it used to. Going out into the business world, you'll be happy to discover that years on the job can be less relevant than other considerations. Sure, you might look at your resume or your LinkedIn page and feel it could use some filling out, but there's an upside. Today's economy seeks out and rewards ideas and drive, and that's a lot to start with these days. It can carry you far and fast. A quarter century after my departure of JMU, however, I'm not here to tell you that experience doesn't matter. Just think of all those high school graduates who showed up here 4 Septembers ago, and everything that's happened in each of your lives. It goes on like that. Experiences and wisdom that come with time and in no other way. A few quick learnings from my own journey, each in the category of obvious but sometimes forgotten. Some of the most valuable experiences can be the least pleasant to actually go through. I had a boss once who was truly hard to bear, negative, overbearing, always using fear instead of encouragement to motivate others. Not exactly someone I look forward to seeing every day. I just hated dealing with that. Yet in a way, I'm thankful, because it made for an emphatic lesson in how not to act as a leader, colleague, or person. Without hard experiences, after all, how would we ever learn resiliency? Naturally, there are tough times in every career. Adversity, failure, or moments that can seem to overwhelm. And we've all got to find our own way to deal with them. I should probably quote some famous philosopher on the subject, but what comes first to my mind is a regular phrase of my yoga instructor. When you get into a difficult position and feel like you can't go on, breathe through it. Keep holding on in those really tough moments, and you'll discover that you're stronger and more resilient than you thought. When you feel put to the test again, you'll remember how you got through it the last time, and you'll know you have the strength to face it. With each effort and difficulty, the painful and seemingly impossible become entirely doable and even easy. Breathe through it. You don't have to be twisted up on a yoga mat to find the truth in that. Then there's a kind of experience so many of us have, when it feels as if some big chance has passed us by. I've met quite a few very successful people who tell different versions of the same story. How not getting the thing they wanted led to something far better. Amazing how often it happens that way, but it's true. Even great disappointments can turn out to be our biggest breaks. And it can take a while, before we realize that, and the same goes for understanding the inner workings of an enterprise. When you look behind the curtain in most companies, it can gradually dawn on you that the people at the top don't necessarily know that much more than everyone else there. We tend to assume, especially when we're young, that there's some special knowledge for which we don't yet have the password, the secret playbook that somebody will give you when the time is right. There's various drawbacks to that assumption, starting with the fact that it's usually not the case. And sometimes it can hold you back. I remember when a senior colleague at SAP first asked when I might be ready for the next big job. And I told him, not for another year or so at least. My thinking was that there must be more to leading and managing a large, complex business than I could possibly have figured out yet. I was waiting for some revelation that never really comes. I was buying time when a great opportunity was right there in front of me. When others think you're ready, there's a good chance you're ready. So for what it's worth, don't worry about the secret playbook and just take the leap. If you're very lucky too, you'll work in organizations and causes that not only ask your best efforts, but also deserve them. And there's some good news here as well, as more and more companies realize they have to meet your standards, not just impose theirs on you. It's one of the nicer trends these days that companies now have to create loyalty, and that means building an internal culture where each person is respected, treated fairly, paid equitably, able to balance with work, with family, and all the rest of life, and in general, valued as part of an enterprise everyone can feel proud of. We each want to do work that makes us the best version of ourselves, and that's never asking too much, and a JMU graduate should never expect less. In any organization, the real story is always in the people. It makes all the difference, the company you're keeping every single day. I long ago learned to live with and even embrace the certain knowledge that I'm very seldom the smartest one in the room, that I can always stand to learn from the people around me and their example. Think of it this way, if you're always the smartest person in the room, who's going to keep you sharp? And if you look around and you don't see anyone you truly admire, who's going to make you want to up your game? Whether you're running a business or starting your first job, the crucial thing is to be around people of ability and character, because they're the ones who will make you better. You know something about how all that works because you've just spent 4 years in this beautiful place, in the finest of company. Along with all the lovely landmarks around us, when I think back on JMU, it brings to mind those railroad tracks that run through the heart of campus. It's not a bad image to capture this time in life, what it means to us, and always will. We don't think much about where the tracks begin or where they end. All we see for 4 years is that little stretch of path. And leaving today, finally following those tracks away to points known and unknown, don't doubt for a moment that the good that came into your life here will stay with you, especially the friendships. I remember feeling just a little sad on my graduation day, not quite appreciating how even wonderful experiences have to end before new ones can begin. It's true, and that's what I wish for you. May all that you found here be just a hint of the achievements, success, and great happiness still to come. Thank you so much, and Godspeed to the JMU class of 2019. Woo!